Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack the stories, the shifts, the things happening just under the surface that are, well, changing how we live. And if you've sensed something lately, maybe a feeling of collective rethinking, you're definitely on to something. There's this recent poll, and honestly, the number's pretty staggering. 50%. Half of Americans have at least thought about relocating in the next few years. And we're not just talking moving across town. This is bigger. It's like a fundamental question people are asking. Where is home? Or maybe, where could home be? So today, that's our deep dive. This growing trend of Americans looking abroad, researching, planning, and actually making the move. We've gathered some really compelling stuff for you, not just stats, but real stories from people. Their reasons, their journeys, the good, the bad, the real picture, basically, from recent online discussions and content. Our mission, to really get into what's pushing people, what's pulling them, where are they going, and, crucially, give you a solid handle on both the dream and, let's be honest, the difficulties. Think of it as you're briefing on a movement that's quietly reshaping a lot of lives.
Yeah, that 50%, it's more than just a data point, isn't it? It really opens a window onto this complex mix of things going on. You've got people feeling this strong push away from their current situation, right? But also this powerful pull towards something different. It could be serious economic pressure making everyday life, well, tough, really tough for a lot of folks. Or it could be deeper social shifts, maybe changing values. It points to this big widespread rethink of what really matters. It's not just a passing fancy for most. It's this combination of, deeply personal feelings and these broader societal currents. And it's leading people to seriously imagine life somewhere else entirely.
Right, that statistic is a real eye-opener. But it's the personal stories, the ones we've seen, that really bring it home. So, okay, beyond just feeling like we're in, quote, interesting times, what are the specifics? What are people actually saying is pushing them to look outside the U.S., to pack those bags?
Well, when you dig into those stories, the reasons hinted at in the poll, they just jump right out at you. Very vivid. Economically, the rising cost of living comes up again and again. It's this constant grinding pressure. You literally hear people asking, almost desperately, okay, when does it get too much? When you just can't afford anything anymore. And that's not abstract. It means, not being able to afford rent. Forget about buying a house, even in places that used to be affordable. And then there's healthcare. The worry about affording it, accessing it, that hangs over people. It shapes huge life decisions, especially if you have a family. These aren't just vague anxieties. They're daily stresses that really chip away at your peace of mind. Then you layer on top of that this deep current of social and political frustration. People talking about feeling like America is just so divided, some even grieving, almost. One person put it really starkly, saying something like, my country kind of disappeared around 2015. That it feels unrecognizable now.
Wow, that's heavy.
It is. And there's this real worry about rising tensions, polarization, even, the possibility of actual civil unrest down the line.
Yeah.
Someone voiced this very practical fear, like, what if I wait too long and then everyone's trying to leave at once? That suggests a real sense of urgency brewing.
Yeah.
And another person just said flat out, America is not a safe place for a lot of people right now. That says so much about a deep unease, doesn't it? Like, they're being pushed out not just by money, but by the culture, the politics.
That paints a really powerful and, sometimes unsettling picture of the push. But it's usually not just about escaping something, is it?
Yeah.
We also hear about this strong pull towards something different, a deliberate search for maybe well-being.
Yeah.
What are people actively looking for?
Exactly. It's push and pull. So many people talk about burnout, serious burnout.
Mm-hmm.
Someone described it as chasing the version of success that we're all sold here in the U.S., this relentless treadmill that just doesn't feel fulfilling.
Right.
So they're actively seeking something slower, softer, something that feels more honest. That was a quote from Rachel, who moved to Italy looking for exactly that. A different rhythm where maybe work isn't the absolute center of everything.
A shift in priorities.
A huge shift. And this search for well-being, it often has a really noticeable impact, sometimes quite quickly, on mental and physical health. We saw this story from someone in Costa Rica, nearly 4 years now. They said, point blank, I'm not an anxious person anymore.
That's incredible.
Isn't it? Especially coming from a life on anxiety meds in places like New York or LA. They talk about better mental health, sure, but also physical health improving and a much richer social life. Real connections they struggled to make back home. Or think about the person on a farm in rural Portugal, talking about continuous life, continuous growth, calling it good for stress, fantastic for depression, and finding genuine happiness, just, picking potatoes with neighbors. It's this search for peace, for connection, maybe something more grounded that got lost in the hustle. It's wanting contentment more than, say, the next promotion.
Picking potatoes with neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that image really sticks with you. It's worlds away from that burnout from chasing success thing.
Yeah.
It really shows the depth of this search for something more fundamental, maybe.
Connected.
Okay, so the motivations are strong. They're deep. What are the how and the where? It feels like the picture of who is moving and where they're going is way broader now than, the old stereotype of just retirees. What are some surprising spots or ways people are doing this?
That's a really key point. The demographic has definitely widened out. And yeah, the destinations reflect that. Europe is big, of course. Italy, like we mentioned with Rachel, for that slower pace. But also the Netherlands. We saw Chelsea's story, moving with family, but also starting a business there. That's entrepreneurial.
Right, not just settling in, but building something new.
Exactly. And Spain, huge draw. Apparently, U.S. property purchases there jumped, get this, 57% in just the first quarter of 2025. People are putting down serious roots.
57%. Wow.
Yeah. Then you've got Ireland, Portugal, someone almost 60 looking into Portugal for that farm life, that community feel. Also researching Canada, even Turkey for, culture and affordability. And then closer to the U.S., Mexico is still a really popular, accessible choice. You hear these stories, pack up the car, grab the cat and dog, and just drive for 3 days.
Oh, just go for it.
Pretty much. Costa Rica, we heard about the health benefits. And Albania was an interesting one. Someone chose it specifically because it's relatively easy to get into. Apparently, you can live there for a year just on your U.S. passport before you need to leave for 90 days. So it's like a lower barrier way to get started, maybe test the waters.
It's amazing how remote work seems to be the key unlocking this for so many. But is it really an option for everyone? Or are there still big hurdles if you can't just, work from anywhere? I mean, it's easy to romanticize the digital nomad thing, but it's not the whole story, right?
That's such an important question because, yes, remote work has been a total game changer. It's opened this up for people who aren't rich or retired. Absolutely. You see it with people like Chelsea, 14 years corporate, then quits, but strategically plans to use her marketing skills remotely while launching this whole new ecotourism venture in the Netherlands.
Smart.
Or Rachel, walking away from a six-figure tech job, not retiring, but creating a whole new life in Italy focused on, that slower, softer thing, maybe artisanal work. So yeah, if you have those portable skills, tech, marketing, writing, creative stuff, remote work is huge.
Okay.
And it's a big but for lots of other people. Service industry, trades, anything needing you physically there. The options are much narrower. You might need to learn the language fluently for local jobs, navigate complex work visas, maybe start a very specific kind of business. It's not straightforward. So remote work, while amazing for some, does kind of highlight a new divide,
Yeah.
where this kind of flexibility is tied to your career type. And even for remote workers, let's be clear, the logistics are still intense. Packing U-Hauls, leaving stuff behind because it's too expensive or impractical to ship.
Oh, yeah.
Figuring out pets, special fans for the cat in the car, mesh barriers, vet paperwork. It's a massive project, not just a whim, even if you are prepared.
Yeah, those practical details really drive it home. This isn't some fantasy escape. So what does it all mean for the people actually doing it? It's easy to focus on the beautiful scenery or the slower pace, but our sources definitely talk about the tough stuff too, the hurdles, the emotional side. It's not all sunshine and potato picking, is it?
Oh, not at all. And it's so important to talk about that side. The benefits can be huge, yes, but you need the balanced view. Lots of people are really honest. They say living abroad, especially at first, it can be, and I'm quoting here, shitty and lonely and scary and exhausting.
Oh, yeah.
The emotional toll is real. We heard from someone, even after 18 months, who just had her daughter visit for 3 weeks, and after she left. Still, just deeply missing her close friends for support. She talked about how mentally hard it is to start over. How you don't have your people, your built-in support system when things go wrong, or even just for the everyday ups and downs.
That lack of a safety net.
Exactly. It's this profound thing you leave behind, that easy comfort, those deep bonds, and rebuilding that from scratch in a different culture. That takes immense emotional energy.
That's a really powerful point.
Yeah.
We focus on the new life, but forget what gets left behind, the connections, the familiarity.
Yeah.
And then there are the practical things too, right? The actual nuts and bolts that can trip you up.
Oh, absolutely. The practical hurdles are huge, often underestimated. You hear a lot of paperwork, and honestly, that's putting it mildly. Visas, residency permits, taxes, yeah, God, the taxes banking, just figuring out how basic systems work, often in another language. It takes serious planning
Right.
and money.
Mm.
Not just for the move, but having a buffer. What happens if your income changes? For digital nomads, that can happen fast. Finding a new job abroad. Much harder, usually, especially with language barriers or different qualifications needed. And then there's just not knowing how things work, how to pay a bill, use the post office, understand unspoken social rules. It sounds small, but that constant learning curve, it's tiring.
Yeah. Mentally exhausting, I bet.
Totally. And look, just as people worry about instability in the U.S., you have to consider potential political or economic instability wherever you're going, too. So the advice that comes through loud and clear: savings. You need a safety net, like 6 months of living expenses, minimum. Because things can and do go sideways, it's not a leap you take lightly. It needs real planning, real resilience.
This whole deep dive really lays it bare, doesn't it? This massive decision people are making, it's this mix of hope, maybe necessity, and just, wow, serious courage. So what does it all mean for you listening to this if you're maybe possibly thinking about something like this? What are the key takeaways? How do you approach this with your eyes open?
Well, one really interesting insight that keeps popping up isn't just move now, but more about the timing, about the potential advantages of moving before it becomes a huge wave. People who moved earlier often talk about finding more affordable housing, it being easier to connect with the early expat community, maybe even getting in on visa programs that later get swamped or changed.
Sort of getting ahead of the curve.
Exactly. It shifts it from a potential panic move later to a more strategic move now, which leads to this really important question for self-reflection. What's your line in the sand? What's the breaking point for you personally? Is it when you truly can't afford housing? Is it a certain political event? Is it healthcare costs? Knowing your own trigger helps you plan proactively, not reactively. And practical first steps: start the research now, even just casually. Get your passport sorted, check the expiry date. Seriously, do it now. Think about pets. What are the rules where you might go? What's the cost? Or who could care for them if they can't come? What about your stuff? Your home, sell, rent, store. These are big decisions with real financial and emotional weight.
Yeah, a lot to untangle.
A huge amount. Understand, it's a lot of work, way more than moving states usually, but it's not impossible. It just takes that planning, financial, emotional, logistical, and really truly weigh the pros and cons. Be realistic about losing that familiar support system versus what you hope to gain. You're building a new network from zero, essentially.
This has definitely illuminated both sides of the coin. The dream of a better, maybe calmer life, set against the very real, sometimes harsh realities of starting over completely. And maybe it leaves us, and you, with this final thought to chew on. When you're looking for home somewhere else, having heard about the pull and the push, the joys and the immense challenges, what does home actually become? Is it just a place on a map? Is it a feeling you have to actively build safety, belonging? Or is it maybe something internal, a state of mind you only reach through all that change, all that resilience? Something to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.